10 mind-blowing science fiction technologies that really exist. Science fiction is probably the most seasoned sort in writing, with its underlying foundations following right back to the times of folklore. Science fiction can be whimsical, outrageous, even absolutely crazy. However, what isolates it from dream is that it ordinarily depends on innovation which, in probably a few regards, could really be attainable. This shouldn't imply that you'll be drafted for the following lightsaber fight on Mars at any point in the near future. However, in the event that there's one thing we've gained from history, it's that genuine science regularly takes its thoughts directly from the pages of science fiction. For instance, number 10, automated driverless cars. The 2002 film Minority Report was advanced science fiction at its sleekest. One of the major mechanical parts was the programmed vehicle. Set it on autopilot, and it consistently moves alongside traffic. We saw it again in I, Robot, and this is one certifiable innovation that we've been hanging tight for quite a while. The Google driverless car was the primary true endeavor that picked up boundless public acknowledgement, even after those recordings of it running over traffic cones. Google guarantees that its little armada has now traveled in excess of 300,000 miles unassisted by human control, and generally has at any rate 12 vehicles out and about consistently. Not to be given up, Volvo has as of late tried its own platooning innovation in which a line of driverless vehicles follows behind a lead vehicle, halting, turning, and quickening as one. Fundamentally, they're in effect electronically towed by the lead vehicle, permitting the driver to invest their energy doing different things while driving, which is something everyone does in any case. Number 9, invisible bike helmets. We don't recollect this being in any science fiction motion pictures, yet darn it, it absolutely ought to have been. The gadget is a portable airbag which will probably supplant every one of those unstylish bike protective caps. It's contained in a scarf which is worn around your neck, and right now of effect it swells and structures a defensive pad around your head. The invisible bike helmet was made by Hovding, a Swedish innovation organization. Above is a video of the airbag protective cap in real life. Number 8, shark repellent. The Batman establishment is once in a while seen as science fiction, however after looking into it further, that is actually what it is. The devices, the vehicles, the supervillains, all the components point towards the science fiction type. The 1966 film, Batman, acquainted us with perhaps the best device ever, shark repellent. In the film, Batman, after being assaulted by a shark, ventures into his tool belt for a jar of shower shark repellent. It was amazing, however not something anyone ever expected to find, in actuality. As of not long ago, that is. Physicist Eric Stroud has built up a gadget that viably repulses sharks and sends them swimming the other way. It depends on attraction. Sadly, there are no shower jars included, which overpower the sensors known as ampulli of Lorenzini that sharks use to chase and take care of. Researchers believe that sharks utilize the attractive field of the Earth to explore, and a turning magnet overburdens those sensors, adequately shooing the shark towards more settled waters. Later on, this attractive shark repellent could be utilized to keep sharks out of fishing nets, or to fence off swimming territories. Furthermore, truly, Stroud is likewise dealing with a couple of synthetic shark anti-agents. Fingers crossed that they'll go into a vaporizer. Number 7, data that lasts forever. In the 2002 film, The Time Machine, Alexander Hart Deegan, played by Guy Pearce, makes a time machine and incidentally impels himself to the year 802,701 AD. While there, at that point, he finds the vestiges of a structure that contain a 3D image from 800,000 years back, and a large number of moviegoers all in all feigned exacerbation at the possibility that any sort of information stockpiling could keep going that long. Or then again, can it? The Japanese organization Hitachi has as of late built up an information stockpiling medium that can clutch information, sit tight for it, for eternity. The square quartz glass bit is a simple 0.08 inches thick and just 0.8 crawls to a side. The chip stockpiles information, up to 40 MB worth, as little spots that can be perused by a gadget as straightforward as a magnifying instrument, or any machine that gets double, which is each machine. Moreover, quartz glass is waterproof, synthetic, and radio wave safe, and can keep going for 2 hours at 1832 degrees Fahrenheit. At the end of the day, it resembles the Terminator of information stockpiling contrasted with hard drives, smaller circles, books, in a real sense each other stockpiling gadget we right now have. It's very near indestructible, implying that it can withstand even the debacles that will in the long run annihilate the structure it was made in. Also, hello, discussing Terminators. Number 6, Androids. Androids are a staple in science fiction, and despite the fact that we've had the option to make some amazingly unpredictable robots, the mechanics of making an animal that is ready to walk up standing on 2 feet are simply out and out troublesome. In addition to the fact that balance is an issue, however, for the robot to be pragmatic it must have the capacity to stay away from snags, explore all alone, navigate troublesome landscape, all that we as people underestimate, yet which present huge difficulties at even the most essential handling level in advanced mechanics. It's the well-established inquiry, do I stroll around a little cat, or excursion over it? Well, as per DARPA, DARPA, the appropriate response is most likely wreck on site. Check out their pet proto-robot. On the off chance that this video doesn't make you shout and run in fear, you may be legitimately dead, in which case, look at this site. For those of you who can't watch the video over, it's a trying activity on a mobile robot fit for self-ruling dynamic. Also, not exclusively would it be able to stroll over deterrents, it has reflexes. There is a point in the start of the video where it ventures up onto a seat, loses its equilibrium, and really connects and steadies itself with its robot arms. Furthermore, moderately, that is old information. DARPA's forthcoming robotics challenge will permit hopefuls to set their own androids in opposition to comparable impediments. The objective of the test is to make robots that will have the option to enter hazardous territories and use human devices and vehicles. Number 5, Nanodrones. What's more unnerving than a human-molded robot? What about nanodrones, flying robots as little as mosquitoes that can take pictures, record sound, and take DNA tests from you without your insight? Automated flying vehicles, UAVs, and the public authorities' utilization of them, have been pulling in inescapable public consideration for quite a while at this point. You've likely observed tales about the Predator drones on the news. Proof for MAVs, miniature elevated vehicles, then again, hasn't been given so freely, albeit a few people guarantee that the public authority has been utilizing them as homegrown observation instruments for quite a long time. It's not as unrealistic as it would sound. An MAV with a wingspan of just 3 centimeters was divulged at the 2007 International Conference on Intelligent Robots and Systems, and observer reports of dragonfly-molded MAVs rolled in from an anti-war rally that very year. A picture of a mosquito drone with the capacity to infuse infections through skin has been coursing for some time, yet the presence of that particular robot is as yet unconfirmed. Number 4, a conversation with a man in a coma. Science fiction creators have been interested with the human psyche for quite a long time. As much as we think about the human body, the psyche is a still to a great extent unmapped area. In the clinical world, sluggish patients have consistently been a subject of concentrated examination. What's happening with their brains? Do they dream? Would they be able to hear you talk? As per Professor Adrian Owen of the Brain and Psyche Institute, they can not just hear you, they can argue. Meet Scott Ruley, a 39-year elderly person who was associated with a fender bender that left him in a trance-like state for over 12 years. Using fMRI, a brainwave imaging innovation, he has had the option to react to inquiries by framing contemplations that lit up explicit zones of his cerebrum. This outcome was first accomplished in 2010 by Professor Owen, in an examination where insensible patients were approached to envision themselves playing tennis, which caused movement in one piece of the mind, and strolling around their home, which caused action in an alternate piece of the cerebrum. One of these exercises spoke to yes and the other meant no. When posed inquiries, 5 out of the 54 patients had the option to react accurately. Keep in mind, these are individuals in a trance-like state with definitely no engine work. They're not composing books yet it can't be distant. Number 3, immortality. Relocating a human mind into a robot, it doesn't simply stable like science fiction, it seems like terrible science fiction. Yet, that is the thing that Russian Dmitry Itskov cases to be pursuing. In truth, this isn't an innovation that is right now accessible, yet Itskov plans to make them run in the following 10 years, a long time before every one of those extremely rich person Gen Xers punch their last ticket. The cycle would transfer the individual's cognizance like a PC program into the robot's mechanical mind. The task, inventively named Symbol, imagines exact humanoid robots by 2015 and full awareness transfers by 2020. DARPA is adopting a comparable strategy to thought transaction by putting aside $7 million to an undertaking, indeed, likewise named Avatar. Moan. That would permit troopers to distantly work robots on the front line through brain control. Number 2, a supervirus that can kill everyone. Nothing is more unnerving than a supervirus with the possibility to clear out billions of individuals. However, luckily that is the sort of stuff left to James Bond lowlifes and shadowy enterprises in films. Or if nothing else it was, until Ron Fuschier, a Dutch virologist, declared that he had made that careful infection in 2011. The infection is a hereditarily modified form of the H5N1 infection, also called the avian infection, which is fatal among fowls yet has just represented around 500 human diseases since 2002. For correlation, the normal influenza executes around 3,000 individuals for every year. With a couple of minor changes to the infection, Fuschier and his group made it at the same time more fatal and a whole lot more infectious, to where it killed roughly half of the ferrets utilized for testing. Ferrets are ordinarily used to test infections in light of the fact that their bodies carry on much like people. In the tests, the infection was first communicated between the ferrets physically, yet after 10 ages it got airborne, and handily arrived at the whole populace. Also, recall, this is a turning out model for how it would influence people. Simply envision if that was delivered to bioterrorists. Hold on, individuals as of now have, this has gotten perhaps the greatest discussion in the virology network, since Fuschier needed to distribute his whole strategy to people in general. Number 1, face scanners. Out of all the science fiction premises, the most startling must be the public authority that can keep an eye on everyone constantly. Cameras at each traffic intersection, a gigantic information base coordinating each face to a put-away record, no place protected to cover up. California law implementation took a gander at that situation, shrugged, and stated, "Better believe it, we should do that." The outcome? A San Diego police division is utilizing facial acknowledgement innovation that can immediately snap any photo or any video feed and think about it against 4 million potential matches each second. The innovation was created by Face First, and even in a group you can't get away from their attentive gaze. Face First can follow every individual face on a camera feed and run coordinates simultaneously, and the entirety of this happens live. Here's a statement from the CEO of Face First, Joseph Rosenkrantz. Inside only a few of seconds whoever has to know gets an email containing all the proof and details about the individual recognized alongside the video clasp of them passing the cameras so they might be moved toward without even a moment's pause. So here's the situation, you stroll before a traffic camera. After 5 seconds, your face and a definite history of your past is sitting in somebody's inbox. A moment later, a cop pulls you aside and spots you in custody for that piece of candy you took when you were 12. You know, possibly we're in an ideal situation without this innovation.
Do not forget to subscribe and click the bell icon. Keep in touch with the Top Global Things channel.